Assalamu alaikum and hello everybody. My name is Oktar Babuna. I'm a medical doctor, brain surgeon from Turkey. And I will speak on behalf of Mr. Harun Yahya. Harun Yahya is a Muslim intellectual from Turkey who has written more than 300 books, science, faith, and politics related. His real name is Mr. Adnan Oktar. He attaches much importance to Darwinism because Darwinism has been the ideological foundation of the many perverted ideologies of the 20th century, such as communism, fascism, anarchism, terrorism, racism, are all founded upon the concepts of Darwinism. The concepts of Darwinism struggle for survival, survival of the fittest, and strong individuals crush the weak individuals get eliminated, and the conflict is the cause of the progress. These ideas were taken from Darwinism and applied into the societies and individual life under the name of social Darwinism. I would like to start with Richard Dawkins. Richard Dawkins is #1 Darwinist of the world, and he is also a militant atheist. Dawkins said, before Darwin, it was difficult to be an intellectually fulfilled atheist, and Darwin made it easy to become an intellectual atheist. That is the reason why Darwinism is defended against so many scientific evidences to keep atheism alive. Excuse me. Darwin set out with one basic premise: the strong wins the struggle, and the weak are condemned to defeat and oblivion. According to Darwin, there was a ruthless struggle and eternal conflict in the nature. The strong always overcomes the weak, and this enables the development to take place. These ideas were taken from Darwinism and applied into societies and individual life. And that is social Darwinism. And these ideas inevitably lead to communism, communism to violence and terror, and these ideas inevitably lead to fascism and racism and anarchism. I would like to start with the communism. The founder of communism is Karl Marx and Engels. Karl Marx, he founded upon his concepts of Marxism on Darwinism. In one of his letters, Marx said, for Charles Darwin's book, The Origin of Species, Marx said, "This is the book which contains the basis in natural history for our view." So Darwin's book is the basis in natural history for our view. That means communism is the concept of the basic tenet of communism is dialectical materialism, and Marx said for Darwinism, this is the dialectics of the nature, and he used Darwinism as the so-called scientific justification for his ideas. In another letter, Karl Marx said, "Darwin's book is very important and serves me as a basis in natural science for the class struggle in history." So he got this struggle concept from Darwinism. Darwinism said there's a struggle for survival, and Karl Marx said there's a struggle between classes, and he used Darwinism as a so-called scientific justification, and the result is Darwinism inevitably leads to communism, and communism to violence and the terror. I'm sorry, I just want to go back. Because Lenin, Darwinism to communism, and communism to Leninism, because Lenin is the one who put Marx's ideas into practice. So Lenin openly defended violence and terror. And Stalin is the bloody dictator of the communist Russia of that time. Stalin said, there are 3 things that we do to disabuse the minds of our seminary students. We had to teach them the age of the earth, the geologic origin, and Darwin's teachings. Yes, Stalin taught Darwin's teachings in the communist Russia, and during his time he killed more than 20 million people. So basically, because of ideas of Darwinism which were applied onto communism by Karl Marx, throughout the communist regimes all over the world, more than 150 million people were killed. What about fascism? The fruit of the law of the jungle. Fascism is given shape by Adolf Hitler and Alfred Rosenberg. Adolf Hitler, if you read his book, Mein Kampf, Mein Kampf is a psychotic book. If you read this book, there is, you go over many times the same concepts of Darwinism. Struggle for survival, selective mating, and struggle between races to survive. So he got these ideas from Darwinism, and he used Darwinism as a so-called scientific justification for his ideas of racism, because Darwin himself was a racist. According to Darwin, there were superior races, white European men. And all other races, Darwin said, are lower races which are close to monkeys. So according to Darwin, Chinese, Orientals, Turks, Aborigines, Pakistanis, Indians, Indonesians, Eskimos, Aborigines were all races which are close to monkeys. And Darwin said in his book, The Descent of Man, the superior races, more evolved animals, white European men, will exterminate all other races which are close to monkeys. And Adolf Hitler, he got these ideas from Charles Darwin and applied into the blood of fascism and Nazi ideology. And during his time, more than 85 million people were killed. This is what Adolf Hitler said. Take away the Nordic Germans, and nothing remains but the dens of apes. And the result is 85 million people were killed because of these psychotic ideas, which were based on Darwinism. So that is the reason why Darwinism is so important. Wherever it goes in Darwinism, it only brings harm to the society with all of its basic tenets. However, in Islam and in Christianity and Judaism, there is compassion, mercy, love, tolerance, and respect to other people. There is no killing innocent people. Islam denounces terrorism. Islam denounces violence. The war situation in Islam is only for defensive purposes. Allah only gives permission if your life is in danger and you're being attacked, then of course you defend yourself. But Allah says, do not go beyond the limits. So there are no massacres, no killing innocent people, no killing elderly, women, children, no destroying cities. Now I will go into detail about the scientific refutation of Darwinism. I would like to start with the questions that must be answered by the Darwinists. The first question is, how did life originate on Earth? The second question is, what are the mechanisms of evolution? And the third question is, if all the species on Earth are the result of evolution, then there must be a vast amount of fossil evidence of evolution. Are there any such fossils? Now we will evaluate these questions one by one. Chance is Darwinist's false god that supposedly does everything and literally works miracles. Basically, Darwinism worships chance as a creator. The Darwinist claim is life emerged by coincidences, and then living things evolved to other species by blind chance, by natural events, by blind chance. So, chance is Darwinist's false god, but there is no such thing. Chance cannot create anything, of course. If we look at the scientific evidences, we see a glorious creation by God, by Allah. So question number one, how did the first living cell form? Now, I will start with the protein molecules. Mr. Harun Yahya attaches much importance. This is the most powerful evidence which destroys Darwinism even before the beginning. Proteins are the building blocks of the living organisms. There are millions of different species in the nature, so there are trillions of different protein molecules in the millions of species. In your bodies, for example, in human bodies, there are estimated more than 100,000 different protein molecules. Protein make our muscles. They work as enzymes, as robot molecules, which make reactions faster, or they work as hormones, for example, like insulin hormone. So they have a very specific design and function. Now, out of these trillions of different protein molecules, if we take out one protein molecule, single protein molecule, and if we check scientifically whether it's possible this protein molecule to emerge by natural events, by blind chance, in the nature, the answer is impossible. Nature is air, soil, rocks, and water. So single protein to emerge by chance is impossible, because for a single protein to be produced, to be synthesized, other proteins must exist before this protein molecule, enzymes. And at least 100 different enzymes must exist in order for a single protein to be synthesized. And this fact, scientific fact, eliminates Darwinism completely. But this is not enough. Is that enough? No. There must be a DNA at the same time, at the same moment, because only DNA codes for the right sequence of the protein molecule. DNA must exist also before this protein. Is that enough? No. Energy is required for the synthesis, and nuclear power, the power stations of the cell, mitochondria must exist, but this is not enough also. That has to be isolated from the environment. A complete living cell is required for a single protein to be synthesized. And that scientific fact eliminates Darwinism. Darwinism is dead at the very beginning, at the level of a single protein. And after that, we don't need to go any detail, whether this is the ancestor of that organism or that organism is the ancestor of the other one, because Darwinism dies at the very beginning at the level of a single protein molecule.